Sup you beautiful people. Hope you've had a fantastic day. Welcome back to a brand new episode of What If Deku Was an Artificial Human. If you guys enjoy this what if, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel after watching this video. Don't forget to shower some appreciation onto the incredible author responsible for this fanfiction. The link is conveniently waiting for you in the description box down below. Before we get into it though, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. Midnight had found out about the scavenger hunt event. To be fair, it wasn't that hard, but now she had an ego. She was going to bring up the fact that he had some point considered her sexy. Fantastic. He wouldn't let her get a reaction. No way. Not matter how suggestive she makes herself. Was this sexual harassment? Seduction of a minor even? Well, now he had ammo against her, if that counted. But then again, this could have been in good fun. So here he was, still in the workshop alone with Midnight after learning of what his scavenger item had to be, and ended up being her. He didn't like that smile. It said way too much. She was never going to let him drop this. He could definitely feel the amount of teasing that would come from this. And it already started. Kumo, are you okay? Joker asked a bit timidly as he watched a drained Izuru walk over and sit in the seat. I'm fine. He gave them a weak thumb up. You don't look it. The ever-stoic Shinso pointed out. What happened? What did Sensei want? Hatsume asked, glancing away from her baby. Hahaha. He chuckled insanely. Too much teasing. Ha. The three shared a glance with one another and back to Izuru. Teasing? Shinso raised a brow. Izuku spouted a small amount of blood and wiped it away. I don't know whether to feel good, or embarrassed or mortified. What did Sensei do to you? Just some teasing. It was about the scavenger hunt. Hatsume and Joker shared a look. The expiration date, little did they know however, it was something sexy. Now she's got an ego that we need to beat down again. He sighed. I'm not cute. He whispered really low while rubbing the right cheek on his face. Just what happened. That's the lesson for the day. Midnight said as everyone began to move. Also be careful and remember not to take uncommon roads and streets on the way home. Oh, and Yamakumo, try not to be too distracted, okay? She teasingly said. Let's beat that ego into submission, shall we? Also, don't say things like that, people might think we're related. Izuku turned back to his teacher and smiled. Sorry, did you say something? Eh? Izuku walked out of the room as Midnight continued. Are you ignoring me? Did you just ignore me? Hey. Talk to me. Hey. Geez. She's like a teasing relative. Yeah, that might be it. Unknown to them both, the way they treated each other would continue. With the snarky and comical comments from Izuku to Midnight, and the heroine's own teasing to the hidden villain in their midst. It was an odd relationship. Izuku was up in his room after another day at school. Kurogiri had seemed to sense something, but he just waved it off for another time, to which the mist man accepted. That damn Midnight hero. Damn that puberty of his. He had also gone into his sludge form to retrieve another copy of documents. However, they were more guarded than before. But this time it was more varied in terms of students and staff. He was currently going through the pile, revolving around 4 files. Shinso, Hatsume, Joker, and the heroine Midnight. There was something about them. Hatsume was quite energetic and fun. Shinso, well, the silent type, seemed to have a good head on those shoulders with a useful quirk. Joker, while looking like a clown, was clearly the straight man of the group. Midnight was like the one female relative that teased you for the slightest thing when it came to the other sex or something. He dropped the files down into the cabinet of the room. For now. It was about time to get ready for the plan in a couple of days. Noumu. He called out as the behemoth turned its head to look at him. A brain-dead puppet with its brain exposed and 2 eyes merged with the brain. It was very muscular with a few scars on its body, a large black humanoid monster. Noumu had a nice set of jagged and sharp teeth, and the way it never blinked was unnerving in a way to someone who never met Noumu before. There was no real defining feature aside from the exposed brain, but the mouth did resemble that of a human's mouth, and it didn't look like it had a nose. It only wore a pair of pants that stopped just above the ankles, that had armored knee pads, and seemed to be of a tan color, while the knee pads were more of grayish silver. This was Noumu. It might look like he was grinning when his teeth were closed, or simply just leaving a small space opening to look like smiling. Noumu looked down at Izuku, who was technically a superior elder brother in terms of being artificial humans. This Noumu was different from others in the lab. Those in the lab weren't as specially prepared as this one. For example, the body used for this Noumu had been dead for many, many years. This Noumu had quite a few quirks applied to him. Sit. he told the artificial human. Noumu had sat down as commanded. A very loyal puppet indeed, and his test run will be in the upcoming days. He will go alongside Stain to unleash an attack on Hosu. Thinking about it, Noumu was much more muscular and bigger than All Might. And with those unblinking eyes, Eraserhead's quirk could work much better. I mean, there was no dry eye on Noumu, that was for sure. He reached his hand out as he scratched under the Naumu's chin, much like a dog's chin. Are you ready for some blood spilling, Noumu? The Noumu tilted his head as it opened its mouth slightly, as its eyes rolled around to look him in the eye. That's a good boy. Izuku picked up his phone before sending a text to Tomura about an idea. An idea he thought of recently. And that was getting their hands on Eraserhead's erasure quirk for Noumu. That would help with a lot of emitter and transformation quirks. How about we test you out in combat? Early? He asked the Noumu that watched him like a hawk. He got up as he received a text from Tomura. It seemed he was on board with the idea. Quickly hitting reply, he invited the gray-haired teen for some brotherly bonding. Tomura had placed the last hand on his face as Izuku dressed in his villain outfit. And Noumu. He wore what he wore. So, where shall we test our toy? Tomura asked as he scratched his neck. We could take him to Ukiyo-Far. Izuku offered. But I kind of want to hide Naumu's major abilities for now. Tomura grinned. Then how we go to the slums? There are sure to be weaklings who think they're tough shit. He offered. Who knows, we might run into a hero. They headed in the direction of the more populated slums. Some people even moving out of the two's way after seeing Noumu trail behind them if they didn't recognize the two. No one wanted to mess with something of Naumu's size. They stopped as they saw some nice targets armed only with knives and foul expressions. They didn't seem important. Izuku pointed forward at the knife-wielding test subjects as Tomura gave the order. Kill them, Noumu. They didn't have a chance as Noumu lunged forward, unblinking as he opened his mouth wide ready to rip them all to shreds. Tonight there have been an estimated amount of 20 bodies that were found in the streets. Police investigators that this isn't the work of the hero killer Stain, nor the work of any other known serial killers, but that of a presumed strengthening quirk user. No bodies have been found on the scene, nor have any fingerprints or any other clue that might help find the culprit. Police are looking into this matter and advise everyone to stay indoors. The TV was turned off as Kurogiri turned back to Izuku, Tomura, and the now sitting on the ground Noumu. You just had to test him out right now, didn't you? Of course. They both replied as Noumu just sat there. Well, at least you didn't show any quirks. Didn't need to, Kurogiri. Tomura grinned. Noumu possesses incredible amounts of raw physical strength, and has beyond that surreal amount of strength. He is blindingly fast. Not to mention very durable to any forms of damage. Noumu was designed to be a killing machine. Izuku added. He can definitely fight on par with heroes and us, including All Might in his current state definitely. Well, they definitely have a lot of faith in Noumu. Kind of like a pet. Kurogiri thought with a drop of metaphorically sweat. Okay, back you have to take care of him and feed him. Don't worry. Noumu is a part of the league, you know. Izuku smiled. We'll make sure he stays in perfect condition. Get some rest. Kurogiri told them. It's late. Are you ready, Stain? Izuku asked as he walked downstairs followed by Noumu. I am. But who is that? Oh, this is Noumu. Izuku told the killer. And that is Tomura. He pointed at the gray-haired teen with the multiple hands. Yes. I've met him just now. You won't be alone when we warp to Hosu. Me and Noumu will accompany you during the attack. Kurogiri is our warper and will warp us in and out when we are done, and Tomura here will be watching over us. Think of this, well, a chance to cleanse, but also an initiation in a sense. You're in the league, don't get me wrong, but Tomura also wants to see you in action. Can't be too careful these days. Kurogiri, warp us. And with that, they all disappeared from the bar as the monitor flickered off. They appeared on a roof of some building in Hosu. Hosu, man, is surprisingly prosperous. Tomura commented as they all stood on the roof. This town definitely needs reforming. Stain said as Izuku looked down at the busy street as Noumu stood right next to him. Kurogiri lingered back with Tomura. Are you three ready? He asked. The answer they got was Stain jumping off the building, Izuku following wearing the same outfit he wore to the UA invasion and Noumu following Izuku faithfully. Tomura folded his arms as they left. Do you think Stain will be a good addition to the league? I believe I do, and I believe Izuku also sees it like that. Stain, while more of a vigilante, has quite the infamy behind him, including our own infamy. Perhaps it's boosting both our infamy through an alliance or rather recruitment of the hero killer. Kurogiri spoke his mind. I guess so. Izu-chan seemed to have convinced him the moment they first met, and he seems like a person unable to budge. I shall trust in Izu's decision to recruit the hero killer, Tomura said as he disintegrated a part of the roof. As long as he doesn't betray us or attack Izu. Kurogiri smiled as he watched Tomura look at the city covered in darkness. I think Stain will be a nice new addition to the League of Villains main members, the Black Mist said. There were only 4 main members, 3 which were here and 1 back in the lab. Now they are getting a 5th member and 6 if you include the Noumu. With how Izuku and Tomura talked about the Noumu, this wasn't like the others Sensei had created. This one was created to be superior to the other Noumu. Expect Izuku of course, but this Noumu was more created as a permanent member of the league, rather than a throwaway. 6 main members among an army of who knows how many brainless puppets, not including this Noumu of course. Well then. Welcome to the League of Villains, Stain. Tomura said as he kept his eyes on the city. It was just an average day in the city. Noumu and I will create a distraction to catch the heroes off guard, as you take care of the heroes not focused on us. Izuku said as he lacked his sci-fi goggles. Right. The vigilante villain said as he broke away from Izuku and Noumu. Until the League of Villains attacked. Izuku landed on a car much to the confusion of people, until he looked at them and fired his eye lasers. A nearby police car sped towards him as Noumu easily squashed the car beneath him, picked it up and threw it far away. They had no time for cops, only heroes. Izuku fired another round of laser beams out of his eyes before breathing fire down the streets. Noumu was having a ball as he ripped up concrete and threw it to destroy some oncoming police cars, before they stopped to wait for heroes. Noumu was just waiting patiently for heroes as he was more guarding Izuku at this moment. Ha. No heroes yet huh? The teen asked as he blew another torrent of fire setting more buildings on fire. Stop right there you villains. A hero shouted. Your crimes halt here. In justice we trust. 3 different heroes arrived on the scene. I think they're underestimating us Noumu. Izuku whistled. Let's kill them. Noumu opened his jaw and released a monstrous roar. My thoughts exactly. The teen grinned a bloodthirsty grin. It scared the 3 heroes at how someone so young enjoyed this. Izuku fired his eye lasers and torrents of fire from his mouth at the heroes, as Noumu attacked the heroes. Back off monster. The hero caught up Noumu shouted. Noumu was too strong to break out of the grip. The hero was stuck. The second hero could only watch as Noumu ripped the limbs off the hero before biting the head off. Ah! The second hero shouted as Noumu jumped at the second hero who put up a weak defense to block the punch, only for them to fly back with a pair of broken arm, as he smashed into the side of a building, only for the monstrous behemoth to rain down a punches with one arm to turn the hero, or at least the hero's head into a pool of red blood. The first hero that arrived on the scene had his right side burned and a laser wound in both legs. Please don't kill me. Please. Chen, this is for a world without heroes like yourself. You are just another step on the ladder rankings. With that a blade appeared from his wrist, stabbed into the hero's throat and retreated back. Noumu, we're leaving. He said to the monster. Meet up with him. Noumu seemed to run off into the direction of Stain as Izuku sprouted wings from his back. However these wings were skin-colored and much different from his red wings. Pterodactyl, a quirk that gives him pterodactyl-like wings that were built for speed, rather than the defensiveness of his other set of wings. It also changed his feet into strong claws. He flapped his wings as he flew into the sky before anyone else arrived. With these wings and this high-speed flight, he could get to Stain in no time. At the same time, Stain was quite busy with his own deeds. Unjust heroes, parading around like you think you're saving lives for the sole fact that you are saving lives. Stain's voice echoed in the alleyway. Fame, fortune, that's the only reason you do it. You are all unfit to be heroes. All it took was a second. Carefully the hero was slashed down his back with a katana. Native. Shouted the hero in training Ida. He then saw him, the killer that permanently paralyzed his brother in his legs. The one who was now in a coma. Stain. He shouted with such venom. Stain regarded him as but a speck of dirt before kicking him away before picking up the hero. Ida charged back only to get his helmet knocked off by the sword. Kid. No. Faker. I see the look for revenge in your eyes. I'll kill you for what you did to my brother. I'd probably do the same too. A new voice said as Ida found his feet frozen. It was him, the same villain from UA. And he was here with Stain. They were working together. It was then Noumu made his appearance and it was absolutely terrifying. Noumu, get the arm out of your teeth. Izuku told the monster who obeyed. Native. Shouted the teen as hero killer Stain cut the hero's throat with a dagger. That was easy. Izuku said. Weaklings, all of them. Ida didn't like that. Was my brother a weakling too? Is that why you put him in a coma? I think you are mixing this up. Izuku smiled. He paralyzed him and I knew who put him back in a coma. The Cipro burst. The teen broke free from the ice as he dashed forward as Izuku disappeared at faster speeds, and Stain swiped his sword as Iida continued and crashed into Noumu, who grabbed him in a bear hug before he froze. Stain had licked his blade. Like my quirk. It's called Blood Curdle. Stain informed his allies and the brat. I can paralyze the target as long as I ingest their blood. The maximum time is 8 minutes, with B being the longest time going down to AB, and then O. I see that's quite handy. Izuku praised as Noumu dropped Iida on the ground and forced his head to look up. Nice to see you again, Tensei. Oops, I mean Tenya, sorry. Iida looked furious. Don't make that face. I mean, your brother can't use his quirk. So I took it upon myself to use it for him. He said in a cheerful manner as he showed his engine arms to Iida. I really wanted to show you, you know. He smiled a crazed smile. The ice was meant to hold you for long, enough to show you that your precious elder brother had his quirk stolen. So what are we going to do with him? Stain asked. Well, his blood type is A, so we don't have much time. Izuku glanced back to Iida. Let him go, Noumu. I think he wants to avenge his brother by killing us both. Iida weakly stood only to be forced up by Noumu and pushed towards Izuku. Sorry, Stain, but I want to play with him a bit. Using his brother's quirk against him. And you call that playing? Stain looked towards Iida who threw a flying kick at Izuku who dodged with ease using the similar quirk. I'll kill you both. Hold on there, speedster. Izuku grinned as he only dodged Iida as he jumped off the walls in the alley. Heroes don't kill. He's adapted to Tensei's quirk and is handling it better. No words could describe the amount of hatred and anger with Iida. Die. He screamed to the heavens as Izuku just taunted him with the boost of speed. Izuku stopped as he stared ahead. It seemed Endeavor has arrived. He mused as he saw the tornado of flames. Anyways, Stain. How many did you kill? We killed 3. Stain looked at Izuku as if he was joking. 3. I already killed 5 if you count the faker I just killed. 5. Damn. Izuku walked away with Noumu by his side as Stain walked the opposite way. Don't ignore me. Iida shouted as he dashed at Stain. I don't kill kids like you. But I think I might have to make the exception. Stain warned before swinging his katana at the hero one-up. Iida sent kick after kick as the hero killer liked his blade paralyzing Iida once again. Once I cut you once. That's game over for you. He rolled Iida over onto his back as the hero killer held up his sword, hovering over the teen's throat. In this society filled with hypocrisy, vanity and lies, heroes must be reformed. Stain then sent down the blade. As it pierced the neck of the young teen. I warn you, brat. He pulled his blade out of the teen's neck. Endeavor. The #1 phony. He then ran in the direction of the pro hero. And Izuku. He wasn't going to let Izuku get this chance to kill Endeavor. He left the corpse of the now dead Iida who lied in the alley, already forgotten by the world. Heroes don't die beautiful deaths. They died forgettable ones, meaningless ones. So it was you too. The hero Endeavor said before sending a torrent of flames towards the two, as Izuku responded with a wave of ice, specially prepared by the hero's wife. However, there seemed to be a short and old hero there, who sped towards him through the steam that was created. Stop right there. A powerful bloodlust covered the street as Stain walked out. Hero killer. Shouted Endeavor as even he stepped back a little. So he's working with the League of Villains. The short old man who immediately dashed back. Noumu, fetch the corpse. Izuku commanded as the large hulking behemoth ran back. What are you up to? The killer asked. Not much. So any idea who the old guy is? I believe. That's Gran Torino. Stain revealed. Izuku looked past the hero to see that Endeavor had either intentionally made a thick wall of fire to block off the rest for either his own selfish desires, or to protect them. What was he thinking? Of course it was for his selfish desires to get all the credit to himself. So, 2 on 2, the green-haired teen brought up. Fine. But Endeavor is mine. Sure, I'll take the old geezer then. Izuku ran forward with Tensei's quirk at the jet hero, Gran Torino, as Stain licked his blade as he glared into Endeavor's soul. Gran Torino, an aged hero still in retirement, watched as the younger green-haired villain came at him with engines appearing from his elbows at amazing speeds. The old man was aware of the League of Villains. Tashi told him everything. Or nearly everything. But to think he would encounter the one his old student fought, and nearly lost in his newfound weakened form. What were the odds? Just as he was about to come out of retirement, he met the same teen that fought All Might. Not fast enough. The old man taunted as he used his own quirk jet to get out of the way. He bounced onto a building and then at Izuku, with the same speed, landing one of his hardened boots into the open villain's back. He's much faster than I thought he would be. The villain thought as he used his engine arms to dash away to make another attack. Running now are we? Gran Torino taunted as Izuku spun around to face the incoming hero and opened his mouth. Gran Torino watched as he done this. He was expecting fire or even the sharpening of his teeth to canine levels. But this wasn't what he expected. His tongue shot out and diverged in multiple directions. His tongue shape shifted into a massive branched web-like form. And he had the intention of capturing him. He knew that this kid had multiple quirks, only one other person had that ability. All for one. There were answers that needed answering about said villain. Was he alive? Was he him in a younger form? Was he the successor? However, none of that mattered at the moment as he used his quirk to immediately retreat from the tongue. Izuku's tongue returned to the inside of his mouth and had already turned back to normal. For an old geezer, he is pretty fast. And his reaction time is still good too. Izuku narrowed his eyes as he lowered himself to the ground. However, with age comes experience, it also comes pain. Emotional pain and physical pain. You also seem to be retired. Therefore you're rusty. Izuku had used his engines to boost once again at high speeds at the hero who began to bounce off the buildings. You bounce around like that as a strategy. Or perhaps habit. Either way, I will find an opening through your actions, old man. As Gran Torino bounced between two buildings, he was surprised to see that the young villain had imitated him by doing the same. What nerve. It was then that the aged hero felt a pain as a rock-covered arm hit him into the side of the building. He had let his guard down. He watched as the villain approached before he used his quirk to dash off to jump off the buildings once again. Izuku also kept bouncing off the walls as well. If one were to look at the fight between retired hero and rising villain, they would only see blurs of pure speed. They landed their hits on the other, however it was rare for a hit to occur between the two fast individuals, as a single hit could throw them off. The walls were seeing their own fair share of pain, as the buildings started to show more and more cracks, as they kept landing and leaping off them over and over again. It was then that Izuku started to reapply the rock skin over both arms to increase his punching strength, however that wasn't all as an extra pair of arms grew out of his elbows, one on each side. This caused the old hero worry as 3 sharp spikes appeared out of the knuckles of the extra set of arms that appeared from his elbows. Now the hero was really concerned. One hit could seriously put a stop to his constant moving. Is that worry I see on your face, Gran Torino? I admit, there is something familiar about your name though. Izuku continued his high speed while jumping along with the hero as he went more on the offensive. You cannot keep jumping forever. I have youth on my side as well as a lot of stamina. In addition to that is the walls of the buildings, they have gained some serious cracks in them, and if this continues, it will eventually fall apart. You personally cannot allow that to occur. You keep moving to the lesser damaged spots where it is safer to jump with full speed, rather than risk the building's walls. They kept jumping back and forth, both away from each and very close by. If needed, I can summon my wings and you can probably use your quirk, but that's only for us. And not for the others around us. You heroes are always forced to fight at limits. The unknown number of people inside both of those buildings are driving you mad and force you to land on the less damaged ones. Eventually, you'll run out of where to jump, and the less damaged and non-damaged areas are now few. Where you will jump next is now predictable as I use my strength to damage the walls, further forcing you into those places where you have to play safe. I just have to continue to narrow down the more safe areas, and then I will predict your moves. Izuku grinned as he bounced towards Gran Torino in a zigzag off the buildings. So you old fossil, don't die on me until then. The battle continued as both the hero and villain fought in the battle of speed. The wall was gaining more and more damage, much to Gran Torino's annoyance. It didn't help that the kid he was fighting was also damaging the walls. It was then Izuku dashed past the hero, who only had a few safe spaces left to land. The hero gained scratches from the spike quirk from the teen, as well as a hard pain in the back from the rock-covered fist that hit him there. The bloodthirsty villainous grin on his face said everything. You are now totally predictable, hero. As Gran Torino jumped, the teen landed more and more strikes against him, as the hero realized what was happening. He forced me to jump on the less damaged areas because he knew I couldn't risk the ones on the other side. The hero's eyes shot up wide. That was clever. Too bad he is fighting for the wrong side. He glanced back to the damaged walls. I can't keep fighting here or else the walls will break. The old hero then dashed down, followed by the villainous teen. Gran Torino hated being old now. He was no longer spry or had the stamina for things he used to do. This fight had turned into not only a speed match, but an endurance one. A torrent of flames covered the streets as the hero Endeavor fired his quirk at the hero killer. If he could capture him, then that would help boost his own rating. Would that be enough to surpass All Might? No. Not at all, not even close. But he would have something the #1 hero never had. Stopping the hero killer's stain. He sent another one of his hell flames at the hero killer, who was faster than he had originally anticipated. He did wonder where the hell was that son of his. That rebellious brat. He didn't get mixed up with the hero killer earlier, did he? You phony. He heard Stain hiss. Parading around like you think you're a hero, when you are definitely not. Through one of the fires, Stain appeared through it with his blades ready to swing at the hero's exposed neck, as said hero turned around and fired his quirk. Once again, the hero killer had already dodged it. The fire hero's plan was simple. Keep the hero killer away from him and burn him to cinders from afar. The phonies that have overrun society. I will cleanse them all. Stain called out through the fire. I don't care for your mad ramblings. Endeavor shouted. Hurry up and burn to cinders. Don't be so hasty, hero. Stain called out, and the way he said hero was filled with venom. Stain had thrown some throwing knives at the hero, who blasted them away with fire. As the drawn-out battle lasted, Stain knew that all it would take was a single cut to kill the hero. Only a miracle could save him once he was cut. The hero summoned a pillar of fire around him, as the hero killer was nowhere in sight, but was still trying to attack the hero. Just because you have fire as a shield, doesn't mean that you should let your guard down or means you're invincible. Stain had appeared from the pillar of fire brandishing his katana. I do not care about getting burned by fire, faker. Endeavor had immediately fired his quirk, summoning his strongest flames. However, it was too late, as a cut appeared on the hero's arm. A small cut, but enough to end the hero's life. Endeavor fell to the floor as Stain licked the blade and walked forward. It was like Christmas had come early. The fakes must be rectified. Someone must stain himself in their blood. Stain said, creeping out the hero as that bloodlust came back. The word hero must be restored. I will call the fake heroes out of hiding after I sever the one that keeps them hidden. Endeavor couldn't move as Stain swung his sword. Die, you pretender. Currently, the days were tough for Shadow Todoroki. First he lost and used his fire side to his quirk against Izuru Yamakumo, and yet, he didn't know how to feel. He was sure to meet Yamakumo again when he would have to go to the support course to upgrade his costume whenever that time comes. He had also visited his mother. For the first time in years. It went better than he had expected. Then she said those words to him. Those 5 words that resurfaced his old memories before his mother boiled a part of his face. She smiled. And cried. I'm sorry. I love you. He forgave his mother for her actions, but she was now in a coma. A few days later, she entered a coma. A coma that wasn't caused by the condition of why she was in there in the first place. She was in a coma and no one knew the cause. But that wasn't all. He heard that another patient in a different section of the hospital had also been put into the same coma. It was odd. There was also that feeling of something happening. He couldn't place his finger on it. But something was going to happen when his mother woke up. He had joined his father, for some reason or another, to join his hero office for work experience. It however was a pain and was the reason he was in Hosu. His father was hunting the hero killer. He thinks. He really had no idea, but the hero killer seemed to be more active as of late, and Hosu, with its many heroes, was practically the perfect hunting ground for the killer of heroes, Stain. Why was he running? Because he heard a shout, a faint shout of his classmate. A scream of die that didn't belong to Bakugo, or Bakugo as Yamakumo called him, and actually slowly became his class nickname, before Koch-chan was revealed as his hero name. Bakugo responded somewhat violently towards those names at first, mainly because it would have taken time to get used to. Todoroki stopped as he looked upon the scene. He was too late. Way too late. Their light Iida. Dead. A fresh stab wound in his throat. And the lifeless corpse of the hero native against a wall with a slit throat. The hero killer had attacked. Todoroki swallowed. He didn't know what to do. He found himself slowly approaching his classmate. Despite looking and acting cold to his classmates and others, he was still a teenager that hadn't dealt with murder corpses like this. Especially the corpse of his classmate. His shaky hands reached out to his classmate. He was too late. He could have saved him if he was faster. It was then a large hulking figure appeared and grabbed Iida. What? He looked up at the figure that seemed to be Noumu, not that he knew. Noumu didn't even glance at the young man as he picked up the corpses and started to leave. Halt. Todoroki shouted as he noticed the bodies disappear. Give his body back. Todoroki shot a wave of ice from the ground at the Noumu. Noumu would have killed the half-and-half brat, but Noumu knew to follow orders, and wasn't issued any to attack the brat. Good job, Noumu. Noumu. A voice from a small portal whispered. Get rid of that pest. It was Tomura. The Noumu turned around slowly and stared unblinkingly into the eyes of the young aspiring hero. It wasn't even affected by the ice. It was then he started to attack as he punched the ground with impressive strength. Tomura grinned as the single hand on his face almost covered his grin as he watched the flames rise from the buildings. Oh, this was great. And one of the hero course students had died. Even better. It will weaken the class and the heroes who work there, especially All Might. All Might was supposed to protect the students, their teachers, and especially their homeroom teacher Racerhead will feel responsible, and the students will all feel down and won't have the energy to even continue for some time. The despair they will feel will work in the favor of the League of Villains. However, this would cause a problem. This would make you a much more dangerous to enter or move about on campus out of schooling and working hours there, and only students and staff would be able to enter. And the students may be put into dorms, or at least the hero students. A strike to UA's pride and they would lose trust in the public's eye. Letting a student die. That would hurt any school's pride. But heroes died on the field, and he was in the responsibility of the hero he was working with. But UA would still be blamed. The hero killer being there as well as Izuku and Noumu would probably make them try and blame them for the death of the student, but that would just increase the League's infamy. Either way, they won this fight. UA being blamed for his death, or the League of Villains being blamed for his death. No matter what, they would still gain something. This fight was a victory no matter how it was portrayed or ended. There was no way for them to lose. Todoroki panted. He panted as he hid from this monster. This brain-exposed creature. It paid him no mind before, especially when it had the perfect chance to kill him when his guard was down. But now, it was interested. It must have been following orders. He needed to think of a plan and quick. Suddenly an arm punched through the wall next to the Fire Ice Hero trainee. He needed to get out of here now. Naumu's arm missed the grab before bursting out of the wall itself. It was persistent, that was for sure. Todoroki had rolled out of the way before sending another wave of ice towards the Noumu. The slippery surface of the ice would send the villain off balance. It was then Noumu began to use its arms to run only the ground while coming towards him on the ice. Todoroki responded to the approaching villain by creating a wall of ice to block off Noumu from him. It was a thick layer of ice. He had no idea if the villain could smash through it or not, but at least it gave him some thinking time. One punch he heard from the other side. The second punch was louder. And the third punch broke the wall completely. Naumu's fist barely missed the young Fire Ice user, as said user froze the fist used to punch him. Noumu threw his unfrozen fist before his frozen one, missing the teen twice, and hitting the building once. The ice shattered as the Naumu's arm remained intact. It wasn't like how he froze the green-haired villain back at UA. Honestly, now that came to his mind, he would rather fight this guy instead of the green-haired teen. If the green-haired teen could fight All Might, he might not have a chance. The man of black mist, and the teen with the many hands. He had no idea how strong they were, but they might be on the same level. But that wasn't important right now. Trying to survive against this guy was. Was this guy a part of the League of Villains? There was a possibility. The Noumu was charging at him again. He had to use his fire. As Noumu charged at him, time seemed to slow down. Why do? Should I use my fire? But that could kill, and a hero doesn't kill. However, he is immune to my ice. What do? It was then the running Noumu changed into a running Yamakuma with his two arms in the form of chainsaws out. No, survival is priority here. I need to use my flames. If I can't use my flames without being able to let villains live after getting burnt, then I can't be a hero. Fire appeared on the opposite side of his ice powers, before he shot it out towards the Noumu, before the whole alleyway was caught in flames. He wasn't planning on killing this guy, but he needed to take him out here. And through the fire and the flames, a loud bang was heard as something hit the teen in the stomach. Hard. Noumu followed shortly after before grabbing the teen's head with slight burns and proceeding to crush it. Luckily, before Noumu could do anything, the hand was frozen along with the other hand and its legs, while fire burnt away at the head and body of the Noumu. Todoroki managed to break free of the monster's grip and proceeded to get some distance. But the monster shrugged his flames off, and the ice had melted due to the flames. No. The Noumu was taking damage. It just couldn't feel pain. And had high durability. Todoroki braced himself as the Noumu came at him with full force. Preparing his fire and ice to defend him from the brain-exposed minion, one side ablaze, the other freezing. He then released both sides at the same time as the Noumu went for a full-powered attack. The freezing ice and the hot flames clashed against the Noumu, who tanked through the attack, or at least tried, as even he was being pushed back, and all went white. "Where are you running, Gran Torino?" asked Izuku as he gave chase. Gran Torino had slowed down greatly as Izuku gained closer and closer to the villain, as he pulled out his faster set of wings. And Gran Torino had shot forward with a greater burst of speed than ever before. He charged his quirk to go faster. Gran Torino had left Izuku in the dust, but it wouldn't be for long. And ever. he shouted as Stain swung his katana after proclaiming the hero to be a pretender. The old man's actions had saved Endeavor, judging how old man had disarmed the hero killer and sent him flying away from the flame hero. "I don't your damn help," Endeavor growled as he eventually got up as the effects of bloodcurdle worn off. Stain had retrieved his katana as he glared at the hero who stopped him from his cleansing. "How dare he protect a faker? How dare you run from me, Gran Torino?" shouted the fast-flying teen whose wings and engines disappeared as well as any other quirk he had active. "TCH, you ran, old man. I couldn't risk the people hiding in the buildings," the old man said back. "Endeavor and Gran Torino. That's a tag team I thought would never happen," Stain mused before sheathing his sword and grabbing two of his daggers. Izuku had landed when the heroes dodged him. Endeavor then fired a flamethrower towards Stain before Izuku jumped in front and absorbed the flames and ran forward towards the two heroes before releasing it like a counterattack. The heroes dodged as Stain ran forward as Izuku enlarged his muscle structure. It also healed him and boosted the effects of his super regeneration. Izuku's muscles went back to normal before he sent an array of ice at Endeavor's flames. Stain swiped his daggers as Gran Torino dashed around. It was as if they traded opponents. Stain suddenly kicked back as he predicted where Gran Torino would have appeared as Izuku and Endeavor were fighting fire with fire. Or in Izuku's case with fire and ice. "Are you mocking me?" he shouted as he saw the young villain send both ice and breath fire. What made it worse that he saw that this brat had multiple quirks. Those engine arms, those wings and ice and fire. What the hell did he have left? It was then a clash of ice and fire erupted from an alleyway, leaving only thick amounts of steam. The smashing of buildings resonated off the streets as the steam flowed past the heroes and villains. Another hero villain, they thought. And they were right. Endeavor's son suddenly landed onto the ground as Noumu smashed through debris and swatted the hero away, who looked down at his downed son. So there was a third one. They muttered about their enemy's side. "Noumu? These three heroes, let's take them out," Izuku commanded as Noumu turned to the other two heroes. Stain got his daggers ready. Another kid. Gran Torino shot forward as Izuku dashed forward to once again engage with the old man. "I'm not satisfied with our fight, old man." "Shadow. Get up," Endeavor shouted as his son slowly got up. "Father and son, two fakers right in front of me." Stain started as he slowly walked forward. "Hero killer," Todoroki muttered as the image of Iida flashed in his mind. Endeavor was going to stop his son from fighting Stain. Why? Because that was his job, not his son's. However Noumu was attacking him. He sent one final glance to his son. He'd better not die on him. Especially not after all these years of molding him. He was too valuable to let die. With yet another round of flames, Noumu with impressive speed and jumping ability, backflipped and landed on all fours. It was then, it showed something impressive. On the Naumu's back, something emerged. Endeavor witnessed as on the Naumu's back was a large cannon. And it was prepared to fire. The Noumu shot round after round at the flame hero whose flames couldn't stop the enemy's attacks. The rounds used were less rounds. And more temporary ammunition. It was wrecking the whole city. Endeavor scowled at the villain with the odd quirk. Was this thing looking down at him or something? He threw his arms up as flames traveled down the street, making walls of fire on the left and right. The only escape was either forwards, backwards or above. Under if you had a quirk or some ability to do so. But a backwards escape was impossible as those very flames had blocked that escape route. "Just you and me," the hero said with a viscous smirk. "Can't have you go and destroy years of work." Noumu didn't respond. More like he couldn't respond. "No words, huh? Are you underestimating me? Or perhaps you're afraid?" Once again, Noumu said nothing. But fired away. Or would have. Why? Noumu was charging the blast. Hence the light shining from the cannon sprouted from the currently on all fours brainless puppet. Endeavor reacted quickly as he sent scorching flames towards Noumu, just as he fired his powered-up shot. Naumu's cannon core could be used in two ways when fully charged. The first is like a regular shot but more powerful and of course larger. The second was that of a large laser. The lasers needed more time to charge, so its cannonballs would have to do. Well, not actual cannonballs, they could be called balls of light or more accurately balls of heat. He compressed into a cannonball and only exploding the moment it touches something like a person or a building. The larger cannonball clashed with the oncoming flames, and in the time that they clashed, it blinded the street as the roaring noise flooded said street to the point of it shattering windows nearby. Shadow Todoroki walked slowly, painfully slow as he headed towards the hero killer who just stood and watched him approach. "Stop it, kid," the hero killer told him. "You already seem to be close to death where you are." "I don't care," the teen rather rudely said back as blood was dripping from his face. Blood came from his mouth. An injury to his head had caused blood to roll down one side of his face, and one of his arms was dislocated. And he could swear some bones broken his dislocated arm. Funny. Yamakumo had dislocated his ice arm, and that monster had dislocated his fire arm. He gathered ice near his foot, but that only caused him to lose some balance. Stain sighed as he watched the kid weakly approach him. "Were you really close to him?" he asked. No, I wasn't. But he was my classmate," the white and red-haired teen said to both Stains. "Wait. Both Stains. Stop it, brat. You're not even looking at me," Stain revealed as Todoroki turned his head slightly. Was his vision that bad? Was his damage that severe? No matter. He had to stop Stain. He had to stop him. Here and now. Stop law. The teen fell to his weakened teens as he vomited blood. He held his stomach. It hurt. Stain walked slowly towards him as he took a single dagger and swept the blood off of Todoroki's forehead. "You are about to lose consciousness," Stain said as he brought the dagger towards him as he watched the firewall dance. "I don't have time to deal with a weakened child." Stain licked the dagger as Todoroki froze. He tried his hardest to move, but that was impossible. "The one I really want to kill is there." Todoroki's hazy vision started to fade as he watched the hero killer leave. He failed to save Iida. He failed to avenge him. He failed to stop Stain. He failed to defeat that brainless creature, Noumu. He failed to retrieve Iida's corpse. He failed. He failed as a hero. And only darkness remained. An explosion of flames and a strange light filled the street as multiple heroes saw. "There," a woman said. "Endeavor and others are there, fighting the League of Villains and the hero killer. We need to get there now." The woman had short blonde hair with most of it parted to one side, but still framed her face. She had a red scarf tied around her neck, or perhaps it was a red bandana tied around her neck. She wore a somewhat basic suit that consisted of some sort of bodysuit that covered her from the neck down. The bodysuit was primarily white with some green on it. It had a large green line that went down the front of her suit, and also the inside of her legs. On the left and right on the line, the suit was white. The green line was also on her back as well, in line with the one at the front, and had 2 extra green lines on her arms, covering the top of her hand, and going right up her arm under her red bandana. Not to mention, that her suit was kind of skin tight. It also helped draw attention to, those. The city of Hosu was burning under the brightly lit moon. Did the villain's attack already last this long? "We got to go now," she commanded as they continued on to right where the action was. "This isn't good." Kurogiri narrowed his eyes before turning back to the flames of the burning city. "There's not much time left." "Call them back," Tomura said. "You're right, this isn't good." "Understood." The mist man nodded. Endeavor lowered his arms to see a destroyed street. And no Noumu. Oh wait, there he was. The Noumu had tunneled itself out of the ground with mole-like claws. A transformation quirk. Wait. But it had that goddamn motherfucking cannon on its back. Was it just a weapon? No, it sprouted from its back. Did this Noumu have the same abilities like that kid? This thing had multiple quirks too. Only relying on its own physical strength and only showing one quirk when he met him. And now showing a second one. Was this thing looking down on him? Naumu's hands turned back to normal human-like hands he had before. But he wasn't alone. Stain was coming up on his side. And there the oldest Todoroki there saw his son, laying face first in a pool of blood. The fires he possessed were never blue before. They do say fire is the emotion of rage. Stain thought seeing the rare blue flames. But to see a sudden quirk evolution from this pretender hero. I hope you can do more than last time, Faker. Stain grinned as the Noumu tilted its head to the side. Endeavor could only grin. As Izuku fought with the old man, Kurogiri's voice appeared in a whisper next to his ear. "Izuku, you need to leave now." "What? Why?" he questioned as he had already broken apart from Gran Torino. "Heroes are coming, and not just any hero," Kurogiri told him. "But a big squad of them. Tomura wants you back here now, with Noumu and Stain." "How many heroes are we talking about?" he asked. "Kuro? Every single available hero in the immediate area." "Shit." Izuku cursed. "Fine, we will retreat for now, we've done our part. Stain has cleansed some heroes and we caused enough destruction. And the League's name will grow from this." Izuku glared at the old aging hero. "Gran Torino. You better not pass away, cause next time, I will take your life." Izuku hissed at the hero. "Till next time." Gran Torino sped off to stop Izuku from fleeing, but it was too late. "Stain. Noumu. We're leaving." Stain gave one last look to Endeavor. "I don't like leaving jobs half finished. I will remove you permanently, phony." And with that Stain disappeared, as did Noumu, into a black portal before Endeavor, Gran Torino or any other of the late heroes could do anything. The villains had gotten away. The two multi-quirk users and the hero killer had fled from the burning city of Hosu. Endeavor looked at his flames. They were plain old red again. He glanced back to his son and quickly made his way over. He was breathing. That was good. Seemed the injuries with Noumu weren't serious enough to kill him. No, they just weren't connecting properly with his son aside from a few. But if he continued to fight Noumu, then he would have died. All those years wasted. But that brought the question of why the hero killer didn't kill his son if he was affected by his quirk. Did Stain believe he would just die out? He didn't know. But Endeavor. He turned around to see one of his sidekicks from his hero office here. It was the blonde-haired woman. Sorry we're late. Where are they? TCH, they escaped as soon as they noticed you lot coming. Endeavor said. I thought I told you to scout the area for any other members and to put out those fires. The fires are being put out as we speak, sir. And the evacuation of the civilians? He asked as he picked up his son. We got them out of the area the villains were sighted and predicted they would go to. Good. Endeavor took his son to the nearest ambulance, as Gran Torino somehow got his walking stick back. Blue flames, Todoroki? He asked without looking. None of your business, Golden Ager. The number 2 hero shot back. You must have been angry. The love for your son must have been strong if something like that happened. Yeah. Love. Sure. Endeavor watched the ambulance leave as he turned around. Sir, what do we do? Asked the blonde heron. Spread out and search for them. Perhaps they could have warped only to a short area, or perhaps they might have a hidden location in Hosu. The second hero ranked in Japan stated. Understood, sir. The blonde saluted before she and the other heroes went off to not only search around Hosu, but to continue putting out the flames and saving any trapped civilians. Gran Torino glanced towards the flame hero who had a look that spoke volumes about the situation. Noumu, Stain. Those two he really wanted to take down. I can't say I share the same feeling. But if that boy is truly connected to All for One, or perhaps is the successor similar to how Tashi was to Nana, then... Gran Torino shook his head. He had a job as a hero to do first. He could think about this stuff later. 5 figures appeared in the bar. The first was Tomura Shigaraki, the acting leader of the League of Villains. The second was Kurogiri, the second in command. The third was Noumu, the brainless puppet that followed Tomura and Izuku's orders, and one of the more powerful and special Noumu-sensei had created. The fourth was Izuku Shigaraki, the other second in command like Kurogiri and the younger brother of Tomura, albeit adopted. The fifth was the hero killer Stain, the latest addition to the League of Villains. Stain said as he placed a hand on his neck and rolled his head. Leaving that pretender alive left a real bad taste in my mouth. Noumu just ignored him. He in fact ignored everyone. Asides from those he was commanded to follow. Like Izuku or Tomura for example. Don't worry, Izuku said as he went to a chair in the bar. We will eventually go back and kill him later. Stain said nothing as he turned to see Tomura. So, how did I do? You did well. Tomura said with a hand on his face as he sat near the bar. I guess you're in the league. Wasn't already in the league? Izuku asked from his table. Well yes, he was already in the league. But, it's more of a matter of trust. And I can trust you. Trust that you will not betray us. You have my word. Stain said. I will not betray the league. We have the same goal after all. Albeit with different end goal consequences. Kurogiri thought. I say this shall increase our infamy as well and we might gain some supports from this. Supporters, huh? Well, the world is fucked up when it comes to heroes. Shouldn't be surprising if they cheer for us. We just need to wait for tomorrow. Tomura grinned. Yes, tomorrow. The day when the world gives us our verdict. Yesterday in the city of Hosu, 3 villains had attacked, leaving the city in flames. The news anchor said. 2 villains are said to be connected with the League of Villains that attacked UA last month. In fact, 1 member was involved while the second is presumably a new addition. However, among these 2 was a third. The hero killer known as Stain was also involved with the League of Villains and together created one of the biggest villain attacks in recent history since All Might's debut. The other new anchor said. And the name hero killer Stain as well as the League of Villains have left its mark in history. We'll investigate and report back with details on their motives. The first news anchor took their hand off an earpiece as they began. We only have a few shots of the villains. The picture showed the hero killer Stain by himself before it also showed the picture of Noumu. And Izuku turned around facing away from the camera as smoke covered his head. Sadly, we do not have the villain who is currently standing on the car, and it was the only picture and video of evidence we have of what he currently looks like. We advise anyone who sees these individuals to go and get the nearest hero and call the authorities, said the second news anchor as the news report ended. As the TV played, Tomura was reading the daily newspaper. Seems that the hero killer definitely got us more famous, wouldn't you agree? Yes. Kurogiri nodded. It seems bringing him along boosted our popularity, which was pretty high when we stormed UA. But who knows what this could do in the future. Where is the hero killer anyway? Stain didn't like leaving a job unfinished, and with the sudden evolution with Endeavor's quirk, it seems he wants to prepare himself, just in case Endeavor's quirk evolution is a permanent thing. Alright. And Izu. The gray-haired teen turned his head. He should be back any minute. Those news reports couldn't get his face properly, only those who have actually seen his face and hair. Of course, there might be more people with that hair color out there, would recognize him. He sure is lucky. It was then the bar's doors were kicked open. Goddamn Izuku. The older brother slightly jumped. Where's the fire? Check this out. Izuku said as he slammed something on the bar. What the hell is that? Izuku was about to reply as the TV played an advertisement for a hero's product. Wave up your hair with just one spray. The heroine in the ad said. She had long, ash-brown hair that looked kind of blonde-styled in curly drill-like locks, which reached until her shoulders in front, and folded neatly in the back, and also had blue eyes. The most distinguishing feature was that she had 3 snakes in her hair, a rattlesnake, a yellow king cobra and a Japanese rat snake. She wore a maroon dress with scale-like details, along with a black choker, and golden snake-like bracelets on her wrists and ankles. Do the wave with coil hairspray today. It was an ad for the snake heroine Uebami. And was that Itsuka Kendo and Momo Yoirozu in the background there? I thought Yoirozu would have been more modest. But her costume says otherwise. But I guess that happens when you have a quirk like hers. Izuku mused before the TV was turned off. But I guess the same could go for Kendo. That corset reminds me too much of Midnight. He then turned his attention back to what he was talking about now that the distraction was gone. Have a close look at these. The 2 other villains looked to see what exactly was in Izuku's hands. It was a Noumu action figure. Already? They made an action figure for Noumu? Tomura asked. But it has only been a day. That's the thing. Izuku nodded. Only a day has passed and they're already working on these. Jiren told me about it and they are only in production. This one is the test model. Izuku placed the test model on the counter. It seems they're trying their hardest to sell villains too. Guess we're just that popular. Well, you know what they say about villains, Izu. Tomura grinned as Izuku had a similar smile. Everyone secretly roots for the villains. We do what they can't. They're afraid of the law and secretly admire us for it. That's right. Tomura turned his head towards Kurogiri. Hey Kurogiri. Can I get a drink? Can you? Kurogiri. That's me. Oi, what the hell are you doing? Bartending. The oldest of the 3 said as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. Then bartender, get me a drink. You're underage. Only by 2 years and besides, we're villains. Tomura defended himself. Plus think of it as overseas drinking age, like Australia. The legal drinking age is 18. So I'm legal. No? Damn it. Izuku smiled as he sat next to Tomura. I'll have the usual kuro. Coming right up. The bartender nodded. Boy. What about my drink? After the incident with Stain in the league, Gran Torino went to call Tashi about this sudden predicament. Tashi. We have a problem. What is it? It's about what happened back there with the hero killer and those 2 from the league. Gran Torino started. Well, I didn't fight the hero killer. He did release something that sent a chill up my spine. To be able to make someone like yourself shudder. So what is it? Tashi asked over the phone. It's his ideology. He said. He wants to rid this world of fake heroes like Endeavor. But if he's working with the League, that means he wants me dead too. The hero killer respects true heroes. I'd have to say that you are a true hero in his eyes. Gran Torino said without much hesitation. Well, I don't know for sure. Your deeds are known all throughout Japan. And there was never any of that fake hero business you gave in them. So I believe that the League convinced him to join them. Tashi finished after cutting his old sensei off. That's not good. Exactly. Also cut me off again, and I'll make you vomit. Again. Sorry, sensei. The number 1 hero apologized as he shivered in fear. Also, something happened with Todoroki. Not Endeavor but his child. The aged hero began. He is currently in hospital. But he wanted to tell us something. Something about someone he knew. So we're waiting for him to gain consciousness. Exactly. Then there's something else. About the League. He told his former student. I fought with the young green-haired villain. I believe you called him Izuku. Izuku Shigaraki. Well anyway, he did have multiple quirks that you didn't mention. Or were unaware of. I believe. This child might be the successor of All for One. Or at the very least, All for One is back once again. And Endeavor, he told me, that the villain with the exposed brain Noumu also had multiple quirks. So, he truly is connected with the League. A grim look formed on the hero's face. The young child was connected with his old enemy. That was hard to swallow. It had been a day since Todoroki gained consciousness and told those around him that Tenya Iida was killed. It was hard for those who knew the young man. At such a young age, he was killed. Eraserhead and All Might had gotten the news about Iida's deaths, and they took it hard. Eraserhead more so. And then Iida's family was told the news. The students were also informed of the horrible news, and then classes for Class 1A were put on hold for the next few days. And of course for Iida's funeral. Despite not having a body to bury, Eraserhead saw the look in his student's eye. Todoroki had the same look Iida would have had when Tensei Iida had been hit by the hero and taken out of commission. The one who took it the hardest. Tensei Iida. If you admire me, Tenya, then I might just be an amazing hero after all. Those words echoed in the head of Tensei as a trail of tears poured down his face. Tenya. Why? He choked out. Why did you have to die? It should have been me. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey today. I hope you enjoyed exploring the fascinating what-if scenario of Deku. The possibilities were truly mind-blowing. If you found this video entertaining, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to me and inspires me to bring you more captivating content in the future. Stay tuned for more exciting what-if stories and other amazing videos coming your way. Until next time, take care, stay curious.